handle it. Thank you, Lisa. Well, we all know it's November, but it's also Novembeard here at Denver 7, a time to raise awareness for men's health. So all month long, the Denver 7 sports team is growing out their beards for a good cause, and we're having some good laughs, especially now on day 6, where it's just stubble right now. But here to talk about men's health is Dr. James Wilk from UC Health and Denver Broncos safety, Justin Simmons. Thank you guys both so much for being here. And Broncos fans, we do have some football questions for Justin coming up, but we do want to start talking about health. And too often we hear about this: men are too tough stereotype. They don't want to go to the doctor. But what are some things they can do to take care of themselves?
Well, there are a lot of things. One is kind of get over your fear of going to the doctor, because there's some things that you just don't know that you might have that only a doctor would be able to identify.
Right.
I think the single most important things that people can do on an individual level would be to try and exercise for about 30 minutes, 5 days a week at minimum. Mm-hmm. That's something that I always tell my patients: do you think you could limit your sitting and sleeping time to 23.5 hours a day? And again, try and avoid fast food restaurants, sugar-sweetened beverages, and just eat healthier. And if you smoke, you gotta stop. That's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah. So a lot of common sense there, and a lot of people in this day and age like to use Google or other kind of crowd diagnosis sources to help them out. But there are some dangers with that as well.
Well, I don't think the danger is in necessarily using Google to Google some symptoms, provided that it gets you to go be evaluated by a professional.
Right.
And I've had a lot of patients who maybe wouldn't have come in otherwise if it wasn't for Google. So I can't say that that's necessarily a bad thing. The problem you get is when you skip the doctor altogether and use your neighborhood Facebook page to take advice from people who have no medical training to tell you what to do. That's the problem, is when you get treated by Google rather than looking up some things.
Right. And in addition to physical health, there's the mental aspect, and that's kind of been in the headlines recently. How can men stay mentally healthy?
Yeah, well, regular exercise will improve anxiety and depression. It's really important to know when to seek help, and when to seek help would be if there's some serious things like addiction.
Right.
That's not something you should be trying to do on your own. Or if you're just really struggling and you don't know what to do, going to seek professional help is helpful. I think it's also helpful to have a group of guys that you can get together with, not to go out drinking, but to do something healthy and have some time together where you can just kind of talk about what's going on in your lives and give yourself some support. So, like, just finding some guys that you can go to work out at a gym regularly, or play golf with regularly, bowling or something, go on runs together, that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, interestingly,
I think that's real important.
And we saw the men's life expectancy actually drop just a little bit because of some of these mental health issues. And Justin, obviously, you've got the camaraderie of others kind of built into being a pro athlete with the Broncos. But I know it's a long season. You're trying to balance being a new dad. How do you stay mentally tough?
Yeah, I think the Broncos do a great job of utilizing a lot of resources that the NFL has, and we have a bunch of people, on site at the facility that are resources for us to be able to talk to on a day-to-day basis, to confide in, just to talk about everything that's going on, the highs and lows of the season, of parenthood, of being traded from teams, throughout the year, and moving your family, and finances, and everything that goes on with being an NFL athlete. And so that's one of the things that I think I'm most thankful for, is you obviously have a tight-knit group of guys in that locker room, but past that, if you don't feel comfortable sharing with those guys, we do have extensive amount of resources that the NFL provides us with to be able to speak with people like that.
Well, we're certainly glad you ended up here in Denver, but and staying in shape physically also kind of comes with the territory, playing football. how do you stay in shape on and off the field during the off season as well?
Yeah, well, it's a lot easier now with my 1 year and a half-year-old daughter. You know, she keeps me busy, keeps me and her mom busy at the house.
Right.
But past that, you know, one of the biggest challenges I find is in the off season, because you have such a long season. You know, 17-week-long season, 16 games for a regular season. Then as soon as you're done, you know, your body's hurting. You're like, I just want to relax. And then a month and a half goes by, you know, 2 months almost, and you find yourself not working out as much. And, you know, alluding to what you were talking about, you know, it's so easy to get, you know, caught up in not working out and ordering the fast food and staying at home on the couch. And, you know, you start to feel that even as a professional athlete, you know, I'm there and I'm like, man, I feel terrible. And, you know, that's when that light goes off, you know, it's time to start going again. But, yeah, there's definitely a struggle. And I can only imagine, you know, if I didn't have a job where it was required to work out, you know, most of my time there, I can only imagine how big of a struggle it could be when it's time to go into the real world, into the workforce.
And kind of an easy cycle to slip into. We've got 3 dads up here. Would you say that your view on your personal health has changed now being a dad?
Yeah, and I had to learn the hard way, actually. You know, there's something called the dad bod, you know, where you're a new dad and it just becomes, it becomes hard enough to be a parent without trying to eat right and things, and you end up over time eating a lot of meals through a drive-through window, and you don't exercise like you should. And I let myself go when my son was little. I didn't have a job that required me to be physically active, and I've gained a lot of weight, and my blood pressure and blood sugar were higher than they should have been, and I got really unhealthy. And then finally, I had this aha moment after a visit with my doctor. I said, I got to change what I'm doing. So I did, and started eating healthy and exercising more regularly, and I'm doing pretty well now. But I learned the hard way, and I don't want people to do that.
And Justin, with a well-deserved bye week here, nice to take a break from the season, coming off a win. So we just wish you continued success and health throughout the season.
Yeah, so, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys both for being here. We'll be right back.